What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Once again, the year is coming to a close. 2025 might even be over by the time you see this video. I want to take some time today to look back on some of my best finds of the year, stuff that we found that I really enjoy. So we're going to take a look at some of the fresh finds videos we put out over the year. I'm going to tell you guys about some of my favorite ones from that. Some of these didn't get a chance to get demoed back then, and if we still have them, we'll do some demos today.
If you do want to commit to saying the worst find of the year, you could plug that too.
Oh, I don't know what the worst find is. I didn't think about what that would be. First guitar we're looking at is this Strat from the 80s in pewter. This one was just a really, really cool color. Definitely stood out from that haul. That was definitely one of my favorites. And I will say, I like 80s Strats, specifically like 80s US Strats we're speaking about here, but they're not like my favorite decade by any means. There's not any particular spec that I think is really that great. Pretty run-of-the-mill American Strats, similar to most American standards, but this one was such a cool color and it just played really great. Really excited to find it, and it ended up moving along in Mesquite, Texas. Some guys came up and they were checking it out, and one of them was really thinking about buying it, and he ended up passing, and then the same group actually came back maybe like an hour later, and a different person in the group ended up trading in their guitar towards it, which was kind of funny. Yeah, this was a cool guitar, and I was excited to see it get a cool home. Ooh, next one is, this is 70s Gibson EB3. Yeah, this thing is also rad. This Fresh Finds was filmed right before the Dallas Guitar Show. We brought some of those to Dallas, and this one went to a good friend of ours at the Dallas Guitar Show. This bass didn't stay with us for very long. Played really great, and who doesn't love a good vintage EB bass? Hopefully he's still enjoying it. We're going chronologically here, so that first video, like I said, was from right before Dallas. Then these finds are actually what we found at the Dallas Guitar Show, as well as just some other things I found while in town. I remember the day before that show, I went and drove to a few shops and found quite a few guitars. The first guitar that stuck out to me from that came from before the show and came from Charlie's Guitar Shop in Dallas. Love that shop, shout out to Charlie's. I got this 1995 Gibson Les Paul Special in TV yellow that somebody modified, and they dropped DiMarzio humbuckers in it. This guitar sounds really, really great. Obviously not original anymore, but I think it was a tasteful mod. There's actually a pretty cool demo of that guitar in that video, so you should go check that out if you haven't already. I know I've talked about this in like a million different videos, but I absolutely love the Les Paul Specials from this era where they were doing the Tune-o-matic bridges and P100 pickups, and yeah, I just really like those specs. Maybe one day I'll do like a dedicated video on those guitars. I don't know. Let me know down below in the comments if you want to see that. Next one here is a Fender American Original 60s Strat in Candy Apple Red. So the American Original series was basically the continuation of the American Vintage series. Fairly vintage accurate, but they do have a flatter 9.5 radius, which I think is still nice. Definitely feels a little bit different than your typical American Vintage Strat, or of course a actual Vintage Strat, as it's not 100% accurate due to that radius, but still very cool. This line has since been discontinued, and they've now made the American Vintage 2 line where they go a little bit more vintage correct with the correct radius again. But yeah, I did still really enjoy the window of guitars there between the American Vintage and American Vintage 2. This one in particular sounds really good, so we're gonna plug it in. Ooh, this next one's cool. We had a few of these over the year, but this one was in this video here, so I thought I'd mention it. This is a Fender American Vintage Jaguar reissue, specifically a 62 reissue, and these guitars have been really tough to keep in stock, as there's just a lot more demand for these than there is supply of them. Fender doesn't make an American-made, like, vintage-style Jaguar right now in their American Vintage line, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they're not doing that, but that works out for us, as it's been really easy for us to sell these American Vintage Jaguars when they come through. Also, last year, McGee put out an incredible record when he's playing an American Vintage Jag on that, and so it has definitely gotten the popularity bump from that. If you haven't checked out the McGee record, 2-star on the Dream Place, check it out. Definitely one of the coolest like guitar-focused records, if you will, in the last, I don't even know how many years, so yeah, sick. His playing on the Dijon record is sick as well. But I've noticed since that came out, the interest in Jags has definitely increased, so that's pretty cool. I think his is probably a 65 reissue because from the videos I've seen, there's like binding and dot inlays, so that wouldn't be 62, it'd be 65 specs, but hey, They're all 63 issue Jaguars, so I'm sure they'll all do similar things. These are cool. I don't know how many we've had this year, quite a few. I don't think any of them have been bad. I think every single American Vintage Jaguar we've had has been cool. This is a Gibson J160E John Lennon signature. They didn't make a ton of these. This one was from a run of 250, but really cool guitar, sounded really, really great. And this ended up going to a friend of ours in Mexico who just opened a really cool shop. And I just saw a picture on Instagram that this guitar was almost like the centerpiece on the wall. So that was really cool to see. This one might be the most talked about guitar from any fresh finds this year. And this was a Gibson SG90 that the finish was just absolutely obliterated on. Seriously, I don't think I've ever gotten so many emails about a single guitar, but you guys clearly really liked this one and that was cool. Played really great, finish was really cool, especially on the back. I wish the whole guitar looked like that, but oh well. This one sold really, really quickly on our site. Sometimes we'll put stuff up and it'll sell like the same day. And this was, I don't think this sold the same day, but this sold within a week. Yeah, pretty rad guitar. If you are interested in any of the guitars we have, we would love if you checked out our site at aflashwoodofgear.com or scan the QR code on the screen here. This is how we keep it all going. This one's worth a mention too. I'm talking about a lot of American Vintage stuff. This was just like a fairly standard American Vintage 62 issue P bass that we had. It played great, it sounded great. The neck was thin, which I really liked. I just thought this was a great bass, and I know we brought it to at least one of the guitar shows, and enjoyed pulling that one down and playing it. Very sick P bass. This was another favorite. This was from my first trip of the year over to Japan. That was just me. I didn't do any filming or anything, but I did find this Greco EX800 in black. Now, as we'll get to, we also found one in natural that moves very, very quickly. But the black one, because it's not as collectible, is still with us. So we are actually gonna plug that one in and play it and check it out. I've noticed that the black ones, really anything but the natural EX800s, aren't as popular because they're not like the one that people picture. And so they don't go for as much, but they're all the guitar. So pretty good value if you are interested in that kind of guitar and you like a black finish. Oh, this one was worth a shout. This is a left-handed triple pickup Greco custom. I think it's an EG 600. This literally sold like an hour after it was listed. Another guitar from the same haul, another Greco. This Flying V Greco Flying V from 1978 was really great. Once again, sold really quickly. We've gotten a lot of cool Flying Vs between the Gibson 67 Vs. We've had quite a few of those this year, but a couple of these Grecos as well. Flying Vs seem to move really quick. This was no exception. And this one had the tag with it. Ooh, this is another find from my first trip of the year over to Japan, and another guitar that sold very quickly. This was a Ibanez DT555 Destroyer. This is probably the most desirable of the Destroyers. It took me a while to actually get it listed, but once it finally made it to the site, it did not stay there long. So that was another really, really cool one. And that might have been my favorite guitar I found on that first trip of the year over to Japan. So I'm glad I wasn't alone in that. I'm glad that it moved quickly. It's always validating when that happens to see something and be like, oh, this is so cool. And then as soon as it makes it to the site, somebody else shares that vision. As I alluded to earlier, as well as getting a black EX800, we also got the natural EX800, which is the one that people tend to picture when you think of the Greco EX800 or of course the Ibanez Destroyer. This one did move fairly quickly as well. It is no longer with us, but it has gone on to a good friend of ours out in Texas. We did a cool trade for it. Hopefully he is enjoying it and playing it. Hopefully we'll find another one of these because again, this was a guitar we got a lot of inquiries on. I know there's still people looking for them. Moving on to another Greco Explorer style. This looks like it's a left-handed EX800, as it's almost the same guitar as the EX800, but this is actually an order-made EX1000. This is an incredibly rare guitar and is maybe the only left-handed variant of the Greco EX800 or Ibanez Destroyer. As I said, it's actually branded as a EX1000 order-made, but it shares almost identical specs to the EX800 or equivalent Ibanez Destroyer, so I'm assuming that the reason for the model designation change is that the price would have been higher, as the 800 in the EX800 model name is a reference to the price in yen. So if somebody's special ordering one as a lefty, probably bumped the price up a little bit, and that's what changed the model designation there. But did a bunch of research. I couldn't find a single photo of any sort of left-handed EX800, another EX 1000 left-handed or a Ibanez Destroyer left-handed. So this literally might be the only one, which is pretty cool to have. Probably like the rarest guitar that we found this entire year. I always do note, it's funny when we talk about rarity, technically the most rare guitar would be some like luthier made one-off, but in reference to production guitars, this has got to be the rarest thing we found, as I can't find evidence of another one existing. Pretty cool. This example is definitely not mint, quite a bit of wear on it, but if you're looking for one to play, I think this is a really cool example, and again, probably the only one you'll ever find. I lined up a bunch of Grecos in a row here. I guess we just got some really cool Grecos towards the end of the year. This Greco Firebird we had was really, really great too. Somebody modified this one to have full-size humbuckers rather than the Firebird pickups, and it sounds really good. Oh, also from this haul, there was a Melody Maker, which is kind of getting into Les Paul Jr. territory there, so I really liked that one. That one was from 1986, and yeah, again, pretty cool find. Yeah, this one's set up really, really well. Ooh, this is the last one we're gonna look at. It's a good one to end on. It's also one that I want to demo. This is a Burny, a Les Paul Jr. type guitar, double cut. So, you know, this is a very Alex guitar. Cherry, looks great, sounds great, plays great. I don't know what else there is to say, but let's plug it in. Thomas asked me to do a worst find of the year. I've been trying to think about what that would be. We've been very lucky. Almost everything we've gotten this year has been really great, but there's been a couple that maybe just didn't set up the best or whatever. And what happens in that situation is that they will get designated over to our second reverb shop, which is called Flashfoot Warehouse Deals. So if you're looking for a deal, if you're looking for something that's maybe not all original or needs some repair, or also just kind of random odds and ends stuff, definitely check out our Warehouse Deals shop. Just kind of put stuff that doesn't fit our primary inventory. And sometimes you'll find stuff there like my pick for the worst guitar of the year, which is gonna be this Teisco. Not because it's not a cool guitar. It is a very funky guitar, but it just did not set up well. And the reason that I'm gonna call this the worst guitar of the year is that we had to have spent about 6 or 7 hours trying to get this one to play great, because I see the vision, but we just couldn't get it there. So it's gonna require some more time with somebody else. So we've listed it cheap on the other shop. Maybe by the time this comes out, it'll be gone. Hate to say, that might be the worst find of the year. At least the most pain in the butt is gonna go to that one. We got that from our friend Jake, who does White Shag Guitars at the Tampa Guitar Show. Shout out to Jake. Jake's awesome, and his shop is awesome. So no shade there the slightest. But yeah, we got that from him, and he's like, I don't know, you guys do whatever you want with this. You figure it out, basically. And it didn't go well. So somebody's gonna get a great deal on it on the Warehouse shop.
Top pick? Top one?
You know, I know which one I'm gonna, this was a tough decision because it's not the most Alex guitar at all. It's actually not a guitar that I would really want for myself, but my top pick is probably gonna be that Ibanez DT555 Destroyer, just because it was my favorite find from that trip I did in Japan, and all my friends over there that I showed it to were all like, oh, like this is sick. It was just one of those things where it was a cool moment to find it, and it sold really quickly when it went up. That's just always a good feeling. And while it wasn't the most Alex guitar, it was a cool one. My favorite find of the year, I didn't buy, was that 1960 Les Paul at the Philly Guitar Show. I wish I could have, but I can't justify it. So life moves on. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to hang out with us all year. We have had a great year of finding lots of cool guitars, lots of cool adventures, and we are excited for a cool 2026 as well. Stay subscribed for that. Lots of cool videos coming. We have some cool trips planned, so this is shaping up to be another great year. Let me know down below in the comments, did you buy any guitars this year? Let us know what your favorite find was that you had throughout the year. We'd love reading you guys' stories. And also let me know what your favorite guitar was from this video. Thank you guys again for hanging out with us today. We'll see you in another video soon. Bye.
See everyone next year. This will come out on the 26th.
We'll see you next year. Hope you had a good Christmas. If it's the 26th, Christmas is over. And then the next video won't be out till 2026. Yeah, wow.
This will be the last 2025 video.
Bye. That's it.